And one of the things that's reminded me about how important minerals are have been a couple of new clients in my practice who are actually very unwell. Some of the most serious clients that I've dealt with up to this point. And truly, I was amazed, especially with one client where she'd actually been approved for medically assisted suicide. So she was like, she didn't tell me that when she came into my practice, and I was really worried when she did. But what we found by starting her on some really simple ionic minerals was that already started to turn some of her symptoms around. And she was someone who had not only been dealing with very significant health issues, as you can imagine, in order to be approved for, medically assisted suicide. But she had also been dealing with them for a very long time. And she'd stumbled into the oxalate world because she had seen Sally Norton's book and she nosedived with her oxalate intake. And so that's really one of those things. The more unwell we are, the more likely we should start to pull that oxalate down a little bit slowly and see how our body handles it. If it's really throwing us for a loop to bring it down slowly, then we might have to go even more gently with how we deal with that. But what she had done was already thrown herself into a loop. One of the key things that oxalate is doing in terms of our biochemistry is it's chelating minerals. For those for whom the word chelate is not a word you're familiar with, what it really means is that oxalate as a molecule is attracted to minerals in the body, mostly double positive ones, because oxalate's a double negative. So it's trying to balance out its charge. A chelating substance is attracted to minerals. It's going to bind to those minerals. And then when that substance is removed from the body by secretion, by the kidneys, by whatever route, it takes the mineral with it. And in the case of oxalate, it's a very capable chelator. So for most people who have heard about chelation, they probably heard about it in terms of heavy metals. You're actually using something to try and bind to that heavy metal cation. What is a heavy metal? It's just a special kind of mineral. So any substance which can bind minerals and is then going to pull it out of your system is a chelator. So oxalate's one of those. And because it's working in the background, we don't realize we've taken in this chelation agent. We're not coping with it properly. So let me tell you a bit of a story, because I went through the process of chelation at one point. I had a practitioner who was suspicious that I had some heavy metal issues. I may have, but I do not have a mouthful of cavities or anything like that. I think what symptoms made this practitioner think heavy metals were actually really oxalate. So that said, I was given this chelator. I think it was DMSO, which is a pretty common one. And I was told that I had to take calcium and magnesium when I took this chelator. But see, we're doing this stuff with oxalate in the background. We don't realize oxalate's in play, and we're not taking extra minerals. So one of the things that can be happening is that we're slowly being depleted of minerals. Not all at once, not in a way where it's necessarily obvious by symptoms, because this is happening slowly over time. And our bodies are pretty smart. Our bodies are trying to protect the mineral levels, especially in the bloodstream. And so the bloodstream values may look absolutely fine. You go and you have a blood test and you say, okay, check my iron, check my calcium, check my magnesium, check my basic minerals. And they may all look okay. Maybe you're at the low end of the range, but you're not outside the range. You're not actually showing a clear deficiency. And that's because your body's protecting what's in the bloodstream kind of at all costs, because that's for urgent function. This is keeping the lights on. But that doesn't mean that tissues, which may not be urgent to survival, are not being shortchanged on minerals, because we're being slowly depleted. What that can actually mean over time can be things like maybe your bones don't look as good as they should. That's a really common one. Almost all of my, say, age 40 and up female clients have some level of bone loss, whether it's osteoporosis osteopenia or osteoporosis. And that's a great concern. But we can also be shortchanging other muscles or other tissues just slightly. So one of the things that I found in my own case was that muscle cramping that I used to have much more frequently, now that I'm low oxalate, but I also make sure my minerals get attention and I'm getting enough of them, I don't have those anymore.